Oh yeah. Take this one. We'll kill off this. We'll kill off this. We'll just decline this. Yeah. Beautiful. To negative 24. To shreds. To absolute shreds. Hey Wizards, we've got 4-color Push the Limits here today. This deck is a lot of fun, but credit where credit due. This is very largely stolen from Dr. Ruckus MTG. Go check out him. I will have a link in the description below so you can go see the original video. Largely, I have traded out a couple of the cards he had in the sideboard into the main board and vice versa, making sure I have the split ups in the deck, which I think are really good. But ultimately, this deck is control, where we are trying to bin our cycling vehicles like Ironclad, Broodwagon, Valor's Flagship, Detention Chariot, get them into the graveyard, and then push the limit before turn 7, typically turn 5 or 6, so that we can resurrect all those vehicles and swing for like 24 damage, some with flying, some with first strike, some with lifelink. Broodwagons come in and kill non-land permits and opponent controls with mana 4 or less. Chariots just exile the other cards that you can't hit, so you're often just clearing the board and then swinging for insane amount of damage. The rest of the deck is about clearing out our opponent's board so they can't kill us first. That's going to be things like Ill-Timed Explosion, Split Up, Pyroclasms. These all work really well, and in fact, in recording the videos for this, I went 4-0 with it. Collector's Vault, of course, helping us discard and get those treasure tokens to help get us to push the limit faster. Now, this deck is not a 100% win rate or anything like that, especially not in Mythic, but it's very solidly over 50%, possibly even in the 60%. I definitely think you can get into Mythic with this. It's a lot of fun. The land cost, though, is real. We're playing a 4-color deck. You don't necessarily have to play these exactly, but you do need a high concentration of dual lands. And of course, rares are pretty much strictly better than the commons. If you've got, though, 4 Gorges and no District, play the 4 Gorges. The Surveil lands are really good, though, so if you don't have the fast lands, play more Surveil lands. If you do have all the lands I have shown here, though, this worked really, really well for me. The combination of fast lands and surveil lands let me make sure I was both hitting my ill-timed explosions on time as well as my push the limits on time. You will notice we don't run any black in the main board. I don't really think it's worth it running it for the Broodwagon, but there have been some times where I've had a couple treasure tokens and seriously considered popping down Broodwagon for that effect. I don't know. I think if you go that route, you probably get rid of the split up. And you have to bear in mind that things like the Detention Chariot and the Valor's Flagship cycle and require white to do so. But you could probably run, I don't know, Malicious Eclipse maybe, for in place of the split up, or maybe a couple of the cards, maybe Blasphemous Edict if you're really worried about the really large boards. And the last thing I want to say about this deck is I think it's got great best of 3 potential. I don't play a lot of best of 3, so take that with a fairly sizable grain of salt. But we're in good colors. Of course, being in 4 of them, we're in a lot of good colors. And we can bin out things like the Pyroclasms and the Split Ups for negates and Spell Pierces, or potentially, if you're going the black side, you can put in more targeted removal and just kind of play around with that. You have to find a way to protect the push the limit, though, because the deck doesn't do much if you can't resolve this card. So bear that in mind if you're going to play best of 3. I think if you lose with this deck in best of 3, it's probably going to be because of that. Okay, Wizards, that's everything I want to say about the deck. Let's go ahead and get into the games. Playing against Bishy Hearts. Probably butchering that. I am sorry. Double Gorge, Wastes, Broodwagon, Pyroclasm, Ironclad, and Collector's Vault. This is great. We don't have push limits in hand, but Collector's Vault, as long as that resolves, does a lot of work at helping us find it. And of course, we've got cycling built in, so we're unlikely to not be able to find it. Flagship, we'll be happy to get rid of that later. I think it's just rush out the Collector's Vault here. They could have a counter with blue-black, but it didn't seem likely. Very good chance this is the bounce deck, though. It is not. It is blue-black fairies. Not something I see often. Do I need to take care of this? Whenever another fairy you control enters. Not yet, I think. I think we can give this a turn, get a treasure token off, and then Pyroclasm probably next turn. Monument to Endurance. Okay. I think we get a red of Worldwagon here. I suppose we could have done Flagship and then had the cheaper cycle. Didn't really think about that. Thundering Falls for the Surveil. Flagship straight into the graveyard is fantastic. I don't actually need to Pyroclasm here. Very tempting to, but I don't actually need to. We could do double Pyroclasm next turn now. What are they going to pick here? 2's the right option. They pick 3. Okay. As I draw like the only card in my deck with 3 mana. So what are they going to do here? They're going to get in for 2. We're going to probably double Pyroclasm this turn. Yeah, I think that's right. It's not really what I want to do. It's what we're going to do. I don't think we're supposed to force a Collector's Vault this turn. I'm also worried about counters here. Very worried about counters. There's Push the Limits. We could actually cast it. They've got 4 mana open in blue. I just don't think we get there. They've clearly got interaction. I guess we also cycle the Ironclad. Another Broodwagon. Alright, we're going to save the last one for Collector's Vault. This could just be more Flash Fairies. In which case, we're waiting for nothing. But if they counter our Push the Limits here, I mean, we just simply don't know when we're going to find the next one. We're pretty good at going through the deck, but we're 42 to their 47, so we've seen 5 more cards than they have. But I would really love to see them tap out big here. And they do. They go for the Restless Reef, which only leaves them 1 mana open. And they mill us 4. Or do they choose themselves? They choose themselves. Okay. I wonder if they realize what we're doing and decided that maybe that wasn't in their best interest. I'm going to Collector's Vault here. And bin the Worldwagon. My turn. I think this might just be lethal. Do either of these come in untapped? No. We'll just play this one so that we can get the extra Surveil. We do find another vehicle. And then we push the limits here. And I think this just wins. Oh, yeah. Take this one. We'll kill off this. We'll kill off this. We will take the action and get the land. Give them a good game here. And we will swing lethal. We'll just decline this. Yeah. Beautiful. To negative 24. To shreds. To absolute shreds. GG, opponent. Yeah. Opponent, again, a little slow. Like, this didn't have the most interaction. Although our double Pyroclasm certainly helped. Yeah, GG. Alright, I actually generally like to have a loss in my games because no deck goes 100% of the wins. But this will be my 4th game and we don't have any losses. I know the deck has losses because I've played it for over 20 games to see if it would maintain a 50% or above win record. It does. But I haven't recorded any of those losses. So this is an interesting open hand. This is probably the worst opening hand I've considered in a while. Ill-timed Explosion, push the limit, but Collector's Vault. Collector's Vault is so huge. If we're up against a really aggro deck, we only have to make it turn 4 for ill-timed. And that probably gives us the room to win. I think we do this. And we go Spire Bluff Canal, into Lush, into Vantage. No, into Vantage, into Collector's Vault, into Lush. We don't need the next Vantage. And then we are going to Collector's Vault, get her out of the Broodwagon, most likely. Although I'm actually tempted to... No, they've not shown us any creatures, and there is it. We're just going to bid the Broodwagon. Commercial District is our next Surveil land. We'll probably play that here. Yep. Coast, we don't need that. We have Ill-Timed Explosion. We also have Collector's Vault. And Split Up. The Split Up is huge here. Do we have the mana for it? We do, without the treasure token. Okay. They play Entity Tracker. They'll get 2 free damage in here. They pop the Fabled, go up to 4 mana confirmed. I do think you could play this in best of 3, by the way, and swap out your removal and board wipes for, like, counters. You're in the right colors. I think the deck has a lot of flexibility. And if we get more vehicles in the next sets, you're probably just getting more flexibility. Of course, those vehicles almost have to have cycling on them to be really good, but that's another story. Meticulous Archive. What land do we care about least here? Probably the brush land, right? Another Broodwagon, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure we can play. I think we just want Ill-Timed Explosion here. Beautiful. Excellent finds there. Double vehicles means we will get quite a bit later. Then we will archive here, and then I'm pretty sure we can just push the limits for victory next turn. We don't need Pyroclasm. No. But yeah, best of 3. I think this deck actually stands a chance. I don't play much best of 3, so take that with a huge grain of salt. Though I would like to, maybe for my Mythic Climb next season, which is probably at the end of March, I think. I could see maybe trying to do some decks to Mythic for best of 3, and maybe this deck we try. Alright, so they tap out, and that's good news for us. We do take 7 damage, which is meaningful. What vehicles do we have in the graveyard? We've got Clamorous. Let's let them get the damage in here. So we've got 6, 6, 18. So not quite lethal, but we get to kill off both of their cards, which I think is worth it. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. Because the double Broodwagon... we don't get to kill that. Okay. Whoops. Still, we'll get in for 18, drop them really, really low. We might have made a mistake. If they can buff Overlord of the Flood Pits enough, we'll lose, but they also don't get the hasty anymore. Overlord hits me for 4. I go down to 2 life here. We can't split up, but we can Ill-Timed Explosion and have a pretty good chance of hitting something. In fact, we can potentially double Ill-Time? No, can't double time. Yeah, I mean, we have to go for this. We don't find it. Can we land? No. Oops, I think we're dead. Because that gets to leave by the skin of its teeth. Oh, no, Pyroclasm still does do the job. Okay. For some reason I was thinking that was 3 mana. It is not. But we are very, very rough waters here. Okay, no haste. They got 3 mana left. Doesn't seem like they play counters in this deck. There's another Overlord, but of course it's going to come in as a enchantment at 3 mana. So they basically just get the draw a discard. Which, like, they've seen a ton of cards, by the way. Collector's Vault. Okay, so we're going to have to activate ability. Bin the land. Play the next Collector's Vault. That keeps us up enough mana for split up. And, like, we have to, right? Destroy all untapped creatures. There's just no world where we can let that stay alive at 2 life. They've almost certainly got an enchantment that they can use to buff. That wouldn't have done it. But they might just not be playing the enchantment now. Like any of the Overlords. They plot Demonic Ruckus. Okay. Push the limits. Oh. Alright, do they have the counter? They've got the 2 mana. That looks like a counter to me. This is going to be GG. They don't. Nope, it goes through. They've got to kill all 3. Torch the tower. They kill off the Ironclad. Do they have another one, maybe? They don't. That's GG. Still no losses, although that one was close. Ooh. Yeah, so first game here against Valak, maybe? Interesting opening hand. We've got the colors we need. We've got Flagship, Broodwagon, Ironclad, and the Push the Limit already in the hand. I'd like to see a Collector's Vault here, and we don't have that. But we might be able to do this. I think we go turn 1 Ironclad cycle with the Mountain. Turn 2, we will probably go Broodwagon cycle. Turn 3, we might just play the Lumbering Worldwagon. We find Chariot as well. We can do Coast. They've played just a Swamp. There's our Collector's Vault. That might change what we do turn 3. I'm not sure yet. Copperline Gorge, we can actually play that now. I do think we're just going to run out the Worldwagon still. Collector's Vault's very, very tempting, and maybe it's the right call. I don't know for sure. Do we need any specific color? We've got red, green, blue, so no whites. It's tempting to take the second red, but we already have it in the Copperline Gorge, so I think we're good. Sentinel of the Nameless City. Okay, so they get 2 map tokens, just 1. Okay. Play Shivan's Reef. Do we care about keeping the Detention Chariot? We could play it next turn. I don't think I want to cycle that yet. I think what I'll do is we will activate Collector's Vault, bin one of the flagships. And if we see something that we really want to find an answer to, we could keep, or we could cycle the Chariot at the end if we don't really think we want it. I don't know if we need to kill off this Nameless City here. It's not doing a lot yet. They've showed us the Verge in the green. And they're just going to start sacking the map tokens. I think we might be 3, 5, 6. Vantage will come in tapped, though. Anoint the Affliction. They probably get rid of that too, right? Yeah. So they don't find anything they want, but Nameless City does go up to 5. I do think we cycle the Chariot here. I don't think we need it. Ill-Timed Explosion is actually really good. We can actually play... No, Maze just comes in tapped, right? What do we care about here? I guess we do Ill-Timed Explosion first, because we can big the flagship and guarantee kill off the Nameless City. And then I guess the Vantage as well. And then I think we just drop Maze, do the Surveil, see if we can get one more creature in there. We can't, but that's fine. We could Collector's Vault here. Draw a card, discard a guard, remove the Charger token. The problem is both of our Vantages, our next lands, come in tapped. They just play Unholy Annex, though. I think we actually can do that. We get the treasure back, so we have enough mana. I don't know if we have lethal yet. Ooh, finding the Thundering Broodwagon, getting to get rid of that. Absolutely confirms that was what we're supposed to do. And yeah, we should win here. They have to discard. They don't get to do anything else. We'll play out a Vantage, pop the Push the Limit, and just go huge. We can only keep one flagship, totally fine. We actually get a red of the Annex too because of the Broodwagon, and we swing, if not lethal, for just a monstrous amount of damage. Yeah, that's lethal. Huge. Love it. It's a lot of fun to play. And if opponent doesn't interact with you well enough, that's what's going to happen. GG. J-Dub the Mighty. Alright, we've got an okay opening hand. We are missing... What colors do we have that we really care about here? Mostly red. The green's good too. We don't have any... We do have white in the Vantages. Yeah, this is keepable. And we've got the Pyroclasm in case they're a very annoying color. And... I mean, is there any way we're doing anything but cycling the Ironclad? No, but we don't have to reveal it yet. I doubt it's information that we care greatly about hiding, but why not? The Phyrexian Foreigns, I love those. I think they're super gorgeous. Copperline Gorge gets us green. Thicket, I guess we can play next turn. Can't do any more cycling this turn, though. This is where we'd really love that Collector's Vault. This could be poison as well, by the way. Flourishing Bloomkin. Okay. We could choose to kill that now. I think we do Thicket here. And I think we do. I think we just go ahead and Pyroclasm. That's only going to get bigger, only going to get harder for us to handle. We'll probably cycle the flagship, but we might actually do it for full value next turn, just so we can get the 1/1 pilot as a blocker. Okay, the Llanowar Elf, I would have loved to have gotten to kill that, but I don't think I'm hugely upset that I didn't. I think we play the Forest. We can actually do this on their turn, so I'm going to pass to them, and we will probably cycle the flagship for full value. Mossborn Hydra is pretty terrifying. We are still going to do this, and I'm not going to cycle the Detention Chariot because I might very well need it now. That Mossborn Hydra, if they're about to play a Fabled Passage or something, is going to get so huge, it's monstrous. This is actually huge for us. The split up finding off top means we can actually cycle the Chariot now. We won't be able to do it this turn, though, because we don't have enough white. I'm going to attack with the pilot, see what they want to do. They should just block, but if they don't, I can actually get in here for 1 damage and keep it alive. All untapped creatures, be very careful with this card. It is so easy to mess that up. They add the mana, which taps the Llanowar Elf. Very nice job, opponent. We'll play the tapped Vantage here. Again, we can't cycle. And we have 3, 5, 6 mana next turn, which means we can play Chariot if they got a good card. Rex is not necessarily what I call a good card, but it is a card. And I don't see any reason we can't just Chariot that away, get in for 1, and push the limit next turn. We don't have necessarily lethal because we haven't been putting a whole lot of cards in the graveyard. The Rex number 2 comes out. I don't think that's really a problem, right? I wish we had Broodwagon down there. And really what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in flying. They scoop off that? They shouldn't have scooped off that. That was not a 1 game. I don't get to keep these cards, right? Creature control, gain haste until end turn. Sacrifice in the beginning of your next end step. Yeah, so like, I was going to get 7 in the air, flying, lifelink, first strike. That was going to put me up to 27, them down to 11. And then they don't know about the next push the limit in hand. And even if they did, it's still not a 1 game. It's close. In fact, if we... I guess we'd probably... We swing at least Valor's Flagship. I don't know if you swing with the Chariot. I guess you probably do, because you can just steal away when the next push the limit comes down, and it doesn't really matter that they had the Rex. They get 16 in, but we had 7 life gain. Probably right to swing full board. I don't think they needed to surrender yet, though. I think that was premature.